urgent. Zelensky's first reaction to the Putin-Trump meeting. An air ceasefire is a trap. A meeting with Putin will happen. The president of Ukraine is urgently heading to Washington. The EU is stirring. A new date for the end of the war? More on this ahead. Watch until the end. Greetings. This is Ukraine Today. I'm Darina Hutsala, and here are the latest events. President Volodymyr Zelensky, after speaking with the American leader Donald Trump, made his first decisive statement, agreeing to the terms set by the United States.
We support President Trump's proposal for a trilateral meeting between Ukraine, America, and Russia. Ukraine emphasizes that key issues can be discussed at the level of leaders, and the trilateral format is suitable for this.
Republican Senator Lindsey Graham immediately lavished praise on Trump, noting that the Kremlin chief is ready for contact with the leader of Ukraine.
This is the biggest breakthrough of the night. I've never heard about this before.
Nevertheless, the head of Ukraine emphasized that he intends to discuss all the details of the agreement with the American leader as early as Monday. An emergency visit to Washington.
If everything works out, we will schedule a meeting with Putin. Perhaps millions of lives will be saved.
Zelensky described today's conversation with Trump as lengthy and substantive. It has since become known that the US president spoke for over an hour and a half with Zelensky and European leaders Ursula von der Leyen, Emmanuel Macron, Friedrich Merz, Keir Starmer, Karol Nawrocki, Mark Rutte, Marco Rubio, and Steve Witkoff.
President Trump told Zelensky and NATO leaders that Putin does not want a ceasefire and prefers a comprehensive agreement to end the war.
Moreover, the media are also reporting that Putin and Trump have preliminarily agreed on an aerial truce.
I was told that there is a preliminary agreement on a ceasefire in the air until the leaders of the three sides meet. We believe that the skies will give signals about the preliminary outcomes of these negotiations, a source tells me. Next week will be interesting.
Russia may use the time to bring up reserves to the front line if the decision to implement an air ceasefire is indeed made.
It's a trap. Does anyone really believe that our enemies could offer us anything beneficial?
In the US, they believe that all agreements will be reached and even name a date for the end of the war by December 25th of this year.
If this meeting takes place, I think it will be before Christmas, well before Christmas.
But under what conditions would Putin actually stop the aerial terror against Ukraine? On the eve of the meeting in Alaska, Volodymyr Zelensky emphasized that the Russian Federation is terrorizing Ukrainians, even going to the summit to achieve peace.
Sami, Russian attack on the central market of the Dnipro region. Strikes on cities and businesses. Zaporizhia, Kherson region, Donetsk region. Deliberate Russian attacks. The war continues. On the day of negotiations, they are killing as well. And that says a lot.
And that's not all. A few days before the meeting with Trump, the Kremlin was shouting that Ukraine was allegedly preparing a strike on civilians and wanted to prevent communication between the Russian and American leaders. What exactly was Putin's plan, and how did he stubbornly try to push it through, hiding behind the noblest intentions? We'll talk about that in just a moment.
But a calm Russia can't just go and sign a peace agreement, right?
All disappointments, in essence, arise from excessive expectations.
Well, of course, who would doubt it? That's why the Russian Ministry of Defense has now claimed that Kyiv is allegedly preparing a provocation to disrupt the upcoming talks between the US president and the Kremlin dictator.
For this purpose, on Monday, August 11th, a group of foreign media journalists was brought to the city of Chuhuiv in the Kharkiv region by SBU vehicles under the cover story of preparing a series of reports about residents of the city in the frontline zone. Directly before the summit on Friday, the Ukrainian armed forces planned a provocative strike using UAVs and missiles on one of the densely populated residential districts or a hospital, with a large number of civilian casualties.
You really had to come up with something like that. Here, without creativity, without initiative, without a proactive stance, it's simply impossible. But it's already clear that you can't get anywhere without creativity. Still, you would think that a one-on-one meeting with Trump is a dream for Putin. So why sabotage it by blaming Ukraine in the process?
Again, this is just the old Kremlin story, the classic Soviet story, where they consistently blamed others for what they themselves were actually doing, often with a complete disregard for the truth. So there's nothing new here. All the schemes are completely known and completely old. The only difference is before, there were two systems with different ideologies, but now Putin has no ideology at all. except for trying to intimidate everyone and steal everything.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now.
And we almost believed Lukashenko about Putin's desire for a truce.
Then comes the so-called air truce. I say, yes, Russia is interested in this, and so is President Putin. But you don't want this, do you?
But here's the main question. How far can this provocation actually go? Could Russia really strike the residents of Kharkiv? Or will it not go beyond mere intimidation?
I would definitely say that they absolutely have no moral restraints whatsoever at all. How far could this go? Well, unfortunately, there are really absolutely no discernible limits for them here. So it could potentially go very, very far, or it might not go far at all. It truly depends on what they ultimately deem absolutely necessary. That's how it should be.
Nevertheless, despite the recent meeting with former President Trump, Vladimir Putin is still actively scaring everyone with his formidable Oreshnik missile system.
We have produced the first serial Oreshnik system, the first serial missile, yes, and it has been delivered to the troops.
Well, of course, what kind of peace talks would it be without showing off some iron Oreshniks? For Putin, it's almost a tradition by now to remind everyone of his strength before sitting down at the negotiating table. But what does this actually mean? Is it a willingness to compromise or an attempt to immediately raise the stakes?
Putin isn't ready for anything. He's not prepared to make any concessions. And in fact, this attempted offensive demonstrates exactly that. So the only thing he'll do is try to hide his horns behind a rock and somehow tell Trump all sorts of tall tales, just like they always do.
But no matter how you look at it, for Putin, this is an opportunity. Well, at least that's what he thinks. After all, a meeting with Trump is less about a peaceful settlement and more about personal interests.
He wants a kind of repeat of the Yalta format, you know, like how the world was divided after World War II, America. Though back then it was still Great Britain, I should remind you, and the Soviet Union. Accordingly, for him, this meeting with Trump is an attempt to return to a bipolar world. But even if the world does become bipolar, the second pole will be China, not Russia at all. But Putin doesn't want to think about that.
In fact, even Trump doesn't quite understand what to expect from this meeting.
I suppose that the meeting with Putin will really be good, however, perhaps not.
Well, at least Trump was honest about it. And just then, a convenient statement about Ukraine came along. But will it actually affect Trump's rhetoric?
Trump is so incredibly unpredictable that it's truly impossible to even fully imagine what's really going on deep within his mind and what specific factors might genuinely influence him. Whether it's the subtle nuances of the morning weather, the biting cold, or quite conversely, the unexpected warmth and heat in distant Alaska, or perhaps even the particular blend of coffee he was served first thing in the morning. It genuinely seems to me that all these seemingly small and insignificant little things could profoundly affect Trump's overall mood and disposition. But most importantly, I would like to hope that Trump doesn't want to look like an idiot in this situation.
Bilateral talks between Trump and Putin will take place on Friday, August 15th in Alaska. But Volodymyr Zelensky himself has firmly stated no decisions regarding Ukraine will be made without Ukraine's participation. How do you assess Zelensky's reaction to the joint summit between Putin and Trump? Share your opinion in the comments, hit the like button under the video, and stay up to date with the main news. There are already 450,000 of us subscribed. More to come. See you soon.